Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you an effect that I'm sure all of you have heard before if you've been to the movies, and that is the deep note. So I'm not going to do the exact same one because I'm pretty sure they'll probably try to sue me, but I'll show you the basic concept so you can come up with something similar yourself. So let's get started. So one of the great things about MSoundfactory is it has this additive oscillator. And that's what we're going to be using. So first, I recommend going into the globals and turning down the gain because this can just get a bit loud. So just precaution, and also turn on the limiter. So in here in the generator, you see we have like the additive. I pop that out. I can make it a little bit bigger. And you see we have all these different partials that we can mess with. And these are all sine waves. And so normally I would do this, and I could even add more. I could add up to 64, which is great, but in this case, I just don't want to because it's going to take too long. So let me show the basic concept with just using 4, and then from there, I'll show you some other things you can do. So we have 4 here. Now, what we're going to do is go into the structure, and that's going to allow us to have lots of control over the individual volumes, but more importantly, the pitch of each partial. So if I open this, see the structure, just click on A. Okay. So you see here we have different harmonics here, like 0, 0 is 1. So this is our fundamental. This is an octave up. This is a fifth, an octave and a fifth up. This is 2 octaves up. So basically this is just following the harmonic series. So this is going to be like a saw wave. Actually, with just these 4, it's not going to sound like a saw wave, but you get the idea. But one of the great things is we can actually change this. So let's say if we change this to 4. For semitones, that's a major third. Let's change this to 7. And let's change this to 12. Okay, so now we have the root, the third, the perfect fifth, and the octave. So that's a major chord. So let you hear the before. This is on B. So B is just the normal harmonic series. It sounds like this. Now A. So you can hear that's a major chord. So if I just play the notes C, F, and G, it'll sound like a progression. So it sounds like I'm playing chords, but I'm just playing a single note. And that's because it's a chord where I put in these partials. And if I change this to, let's say, 3, now we have a minor chord. Okay. So you get the basic idea behind that, and you're probably thinking, okay, well, it's somewhat interesting, but what if I don't want to play chords? Like, why would I want to use this? And the reason this is interesting is because we can move between these. So I could start with a major chord and then move over to the saw wave like this. And so that's basically what I've done here. I'll show you some examples here. Like this is saw to major. So in this case, I used a few more partials here, like 7 partials. Saw to minor, same thing. Like that. A few other ones. Saw to fifths. Like this. Start on the saw, actually. And that's cool. That's getting closer to the actual THX sound. Here's another one. It's not quite the deep sound, but you get the idea. Let me drop that a few octaves. Make it sound a little bit better. Okay, and now let's get into 1 or 2 more. So this one you're thinking, what is this plus 36 to saw? And so for this one, what I did was, you see here, all these are set to 36, so it's 3 octaves up. So all the partials are set there, and I had to turn the gain down because it gets loud. And also one thing you notice, I set the initial phase to random. So you can do this and it'll have that 0 phase sound, but I think it sounds better if you have it on random phase, at least for this. And for B, I have it as a saw wave. You're wondering, hey, you changed everything here. So if you're wanting to have like the harmonics line up just like a normal saw wave would, you can actually analyze it by going into, let's see here, analyze sample, and just find like a sample of a saw wave, analyze it, and it'll get you this level like this. But I'll let you hear that briefly. I think I actually have it hooked up to a modulator, which is something you can do instead of just moving it with your mouse. So here I have it set to attack 3, but that's okay. Let me move this up. It'll take a little bit longer. So something like this. So now let's hear it. There we go. Let me turn the initial phase off so you can hear what it sounds like without that on. Doesn't sound so different in this case. And you see here it's not stereo, but when I turn the initial phase on, you can see in here it has some stereo width. So that's all cool, but let me show you one more. Actually, something else I should say here is now I have these all in sine waves, but you can change these to other things. So like I'll change lots of these to saw. This actually takes a while. The only bad thing about this is sometimes doing all this editing can take a while. So for that, I recommend you go into here, like the presets for this, in here, the harmonics, or just the presets overall for the additive. Save some here just so you can save yourself some time and you don't have to spend forever doing this and clicking things. That'll save you time in the future. I won't do all these. I'll just do these so you can hear this. Okay. And that's actually converging to a single note. I should probably do this the other way. Ooh, turn it around like that. Okay. Okay. But I'll show you something better. So this is one I came up with. It's almost the same. Let's see, attack 1. You make this a little bit longer. Few seconds, so about 3 seconds. And some other things you notice, I have the initial phase on random. It's only 12, but they're all set to saw. And I think it sounds a little bit better if I have the first harmonic or the root actually a little bit louder than the others. So let's hear this. There we go. It converges to a single point, I believe. Let's see here. Actually, I have that backwards. I need to change this around the other way, like this. So now it's going from A, which is everything in 36, all the way to B, which everything is in fifths, like this. So that's pretty good. Now, a few other things I can add here is you notice like this detune. So for all these, I can detune these slightly, and this makes it sound better. So one of the things I actually heard about is apparently the original version wasn't actually the movie that you're thinking of. It was actually made by some band, and they did a synthesizer version of this a long time ago, and they used analog synthesizers, which they said sound better. So we can't have an analog synthesizer, but we can use some analog drift to add some excitement. I don't know if I want to spend time doing all of these. I'm not sure. I'll do one more, and that should give us some kind of drift. And so now that we have this in here, all we have to do is go to globals, click analog, turn the depth up a little bit, and now let's hear it. So you can kind of hear that movement. So here's off. Sounds good, but now with movement. And one more thing, just to make it sound just a little bit better, let's put a reverb on there, turn it up a bit, make it long, and let's turn the dampening down on the low end so it has that rumble, and let's turn on some modulation like this. So, here we go, finished product. Okay, so that's what it should sound like. Of course, you don't even have to do this so slowly. I did that just because I like that sound. But for example, I could take this and do it as a shorter effect, something like this. So there's all sorts of things you could do with that, and I could do the same thing with the chords. I could have it go from a major chord to a saw wave, etc. And I could even do the same thing with a triangle wave, or I could do a square wave. There's all sorts of fun things you can play with. So I hope this gives you some ideas of how you can use this and how you can make some interesting sounds with this. But if it did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaprotection.com. Till next time, see you.